It was from the beginning for me and for Glenn Gaylord, who wrote the screenplay and lyrics, and we worked on the script for 3 years. And these kids are extraordinary. And Philip actually comes out of the ball scene, so I'll let him talk to it as well. But these kids have been ripped off. They are arbiters of popular culture. Things start on the fringes and they move in. So all the dance moves, everything else that comes into popular culture come from this. If you've been going to the balls for the last 15 years, you've seen Lady Gaga's costumes and then some. So there's extraordinary talent. But I really wanted, and Madonna did the song Vogue, which comes out of the world, but they feel she's never properly acknowledged them. It was really our interest, my interest, to do two things. One, to move these kids from the periphery who live on the fringes, in terms of financially and in terms of I think they create houses and families because they need them, because most of these kids are runaways and throwaways who have real issues. But that was our commitment from the beginning. We spent a year just getting them to let us in. I'm a single gay man with daughters. I have 12-year-old daughters, and I'd be leaving home at like 2 in the morning and going to this club and stuff. But it took a lot to let them in, and then one house really kind of broke open and made us part of it, and we did a lot. But right from the beginning, it was that, and right from thank you. From casting, we reached out to them, and anyone who wanted to read the script could read it. Any ball kid who wanted to be in the film is in the film, performing in some way, and wonderfully and delightedly, and I'll turn it over to him, Phillip Evelyn, this is sort of his debut. Actually came out of the ball community, and we got to him through the man who's his house father for his house in New York, who reached out to him. So, and Philip became our technical advisor as well as a talent. So here you.
In answer to your question, it was very important to me, being that I am from that scene, now in New York, but originally from Atlanta, Georgia. It was important for me to really bring an authenticity to the film, and Sheldon was kind and open enough to take on everything I had to say, and other people who were actually in the scene saying, no, we wouldn't say it this way, we would say it this way, this isn't like this, we would change it to this, and little things here and there to kind of tweak to make it more authentic and believable. So it was always important to me going in to make sure everything was right, because from the documentary Paris is Burning, I knew some of those people, and to do something like this, it's completely different. It's a documentary, and then you have a musical, but you still want it to be done right. So it was a lot of fun, and yeah.
Sheldon, should you just say something about Paris is Burning?
Oh yeah. If you haven't seen it, go get it. It's an extraordinary documentary. It sort of was the first successful American documentary. It's actually 21 years old now. And I was directing off Broadway in New York and saw the film and thought, my God, this is amazing. What's going on 70 blocks from where I'm working? And the documentary really tracked these kids through the late 80s and 90s. It was made by a fledgling filmmaker called Jenny Livingston, who did it. The film did a year of film festivals, never got a distribution, but then people began to find it. It's a lot of the people who created this world are in it, both in terms of the ball scene had some incarnations. It was originally, there was the Harlem Drag Balls back in the 20s, and these kids, they start so late because they felt it needed to be late enough at night so they could walk the streets and not get attacked. And we can tell you stories if you want about how a lot of that stuff hasn't changed. But the film is moving and powerful and edgy and poignant, particularly because some of those kids, one of the transgender kids actually dies, is murdered during the process of the movie. And a lot of those people, this community was badly hit by AIDS in the 90s and virtually disappeared. So it still is resonant. It still is extremely powerful. And what we wanted to do, we wanted to make a musical. We wanted to take these kids and yeah, I grew up on them. We all grew up on them. We're gay. What can we say? So to do a musical, and that was fun. So.
But also, we were saying the other day that one of the extraordinary things about the musical, despite tragedy and grief within it, is a kind of joyful spirit and a romanticism about it. And I said it's Sandra Dee and John Gavin, but it's that was in your mind, wasn't it?
No, totally. It was. I mean, going back to it was on the town. You know, that number the three sailors running around dancing in New York, two guys dancing on a roof in Los Angeles. But yeah, I mean, it was to do that, to make it sweet, to make it powerful, but to let it sing. And it's been the joy has been for us is that these kids are really, we've had the most extraordinary support from them in terms of the movie. I mean, Paris is Burning has a lot more of the kind of edge, and as I said before, it's a party film with a few things on its mind, and I could not acknowledge that, and it became the stuff of the drama, but it was also to let them sing, Let Us See. Let Us See is an extraordinary artist that's known in the African American community extremely well, and is just beginning to get known. And Let Us See, to identify her, was Philip's mother in the funeral, who, that amazing voice. Okay,
Yeah, Let Us See was incredible. Funny story. After I recorded, my part, Kim told me, she said, who's playing your mom? And I was like, no. She's like, Let Us See. And I was just like, so can I go back into the studio and re-record? Because you can't just tell me someone like that is going to sing with me after I've already done what I needed to do. But what also made that scene really difficult for me, we had great chemistry on set, but I'm not really close with my biological mother, not really close to my biological family, period. I haven't spoken to my dad in years because of my homosexuality, and me and my mother's relationship has always been very strained. And I was raised in the church. My dad was a pastor. He's from Jamaica. Go figure. And my mom and I were just not really close. So during this funeral scene, that emotion was real, like for me. So me and Let Us See, we just had this eye contact, and we both were just like dripping tears because, it was so powerful for both of us, and especially for me because I lived that.
4 callbacks. Hi, guys. I'm Miss Barbecue. 4. I don't know if you're an actor or not, but 4 callbacks is a lot of damn callbacks. Big time. But once I read the script and stuff, I told him any kind of participation I could have in it, whether I've been extra or, helping out the craft services, I'd be willing to help out in it. I wouldn't be on craft services, but yeah, 4 callbacks on it. So all the people who auditioned for this, we weren't just pulled off the street and just brought in. You actually had to know your craft and know your lines and know all that kind of stuff and go in there. You know what I mean? A lot of people are like, well, you just walked in because you just got the part. I'm like, no, honey, do not get it twisted, right? we had to work for it too. So in just working on with everyone as a collaboration. I come from musical theater and stuff, so being able to do all your musical theater stuff and then go and do a musical, is like a dream come true. So,
Teaching at USC, my students bring in the most extraordinary actors who don't have agents, who aren't members of Screen Actors Guild, who don't know casting directors. They bring them in. There's such an amazing amount of talent. I know it's certainly true here in London. And I normally do more mainstream stuff and have a casting director and meet actors who are represented. And my students taught me that, first of all, there was this bigger audience. There was this bigger opportunity out there. And so we just posted it and hung out our shingles. We decided not to do it SAG, which would allow ball kids to come in. And anyone who wanted came in, as I say, and we were open to it. And again, you can tell your story, Phil.
Yeah, well, I mean, I honestly happened to be off of work one day, and my house father in New York was like, hey, I know that you sing. They're casting for a musical. Maybe they have something for you. And I was like, okay, random Thursday. I'll just walk in, read a side, sing a song, whatever. I didn't really think anything of it. Music has always been my, first love. I've loved to sing since I was like yay big. And I literally got a call, I don't remember, like 5 or 6 days later, and they're like, we're flying you out to LA, so tell your folks. And, that's what it is. Well, yeah, when my audition, they asked me to sing, and I told them I hadn't sang in church since I was like 16. And I closed my eyes, and I sang Joyful, Joyful, and opened my eyes, and everybody was sitting there like, and I was just like, okay, I think that's good. And then they asked me to dance, and I was like, no, you don't want to see that. And they were like, yeah, we do. So I moved this old body some kind of way, and it worked, I guess. and flew me out to LA, and it was never looked back. But it's been such a fun ride, and it really was a fun film to do.